Okay, great. So we're recording now. So can we start with either a thumbs up or a verbal confirmation that we can share this video publicly? Okay, great. Johnny and Renasia, can you guys, actually, Johnny, we're not able to see that yes on the video. Doesn't get recorded. Yeah, the thumb doesn't get recorded either. Can you either?
Yes.
Thank you, Renasia. Can you do a verbal, Johnny? Yes.
Sorry about that. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Johnny and Renasia. We appreciate that. Okay, great. So, okay. First of all, thank you guys for being here and being a part of everything we're doing. Everything has been kind of thrown up in the air a little bit, as you guys saw on Friday, as we were, kind of scrambling to put in the application. Hey, Sabah, great to have you here. Very quick. Hey, Sabah. So we're just getting started. So very quickly, can we get your confirmation that we can share this video publicly? Awesome. Thank you. And Johnny, you can take down your yes that you have up now as well. So thanks. Okay. So as I was saying, right now, we kind of got into scramble mode a little bit when we decided a little bit last minute, because you guys got the sense from what I was saying on Thursday that I was kind of leaning against applying, because I knew it would take a lot to not only apply, but put the slides together, especially if we wanted to do any media outreach and outreach to experts and all of that. Well, our dreams came true, as you saw. I decided, because you guys pretty overwhelmingly, it was like 8-4 in the meeting on Thursday of who was raising their hand that they were interested in us presenting to the FDA. So I thought if you guys were that energized and you were ready to be motivated to make it happen, then, let's give it a shot. To be honest with you, when I put together that sheet, and let me pull up that sheet that I shared with you guys on Friday. And I'm saying all of this because all of this has kind of, become a priority or jump to the front of the line in what we're juggling as a team right now, right? So we still have all the other things that were on our plate last week, but we really have to figure out, like, what are we going to do to prepare for this presentation? And what are we going to have on our website and all of that? So let's go back to what I shared on Friday in terms of the sheet. Okay. So I think this is it. Okay, great. So what I was saying, basically when I put all of this together early Friday and sent it to you guys was like, okay, great. So if you guys really want to do this as a team, really want to, create this outcome and do all of this, then, we need everybody to fill in here what they're going to do and how they're going to support. And I have to say that we've gotten more of this, filled in now, but I have to say, especially with no one being willing to take the leadership role on this, that if I was really kind of sticking to my point of putting this out to you guys, I would have said, listen, the team is not yet showing up to support this. It can't all be on me. People on the team have to fill in these roles, and you guys as a team have to create these results. And until, this gets filled out, especially with people being willing to lead this effort and being willing to be responsible for the results we're creating, then, it can't just be, hey, Jared, it would be great to do this. Can you go and do this for us? That's not like the point of this, right? The point of this is, like, if we want to do this as a team, we have to show up as a team. You guys get that? And so, I want to acknowledge, first of all the ways that you guys have been showing up and are showing up in terms of what you've said and what you're willing to do. And especially you guys, because you guys, more than the other teams, to be honest, right now, have been filling this in. So let's take a look at not only what has been filled in and what there is to do, but also I do want to take a moment because I said, okay, this was the conversation I had with myself on Friday. You ready to get inside of my mind? So I said to myself, okay, so I don't see yet where they're willing to be, the rest of the team is willing to be responsible and that we've really got this filled out the way that we need to in order to accomplish all of this. But I appreciate their enthusiasm and we have some time to work out the details. I'm going to go ahead and put in the effort I need to know that we can put in a solid application for it to present. And with that, at least we can know that we've got a pretty good shot probably of presenting. I had a hunch that if we put in a good application, there'd be a good shot of us presenting. So I dove into that and some of you made some efforts, and I have to point out Katie, because Katie definitely put a lot more time and attention than anybody else I could see. I saw some of you adding some comments and that sort of thing, which I really appreciate. But in terms of like adding text and moving things around and composing things, I didn't look to break it down, but I think the end result of the presentation was at least 50%, if not more, of what you put in there, Katie. So I really want to thank you and acknowledge you, for really going ahead and making the effort that's, typical of what needs to be made for us to do all this. So I think, yes, let's all give Katie a hand for that effort and what she did, because that's the example of what it takes to get this sort of thing done on this type of time scale. Okay, so it was from the combined efforts of Katie and I that we were able to put the application in. Okay, great. Now we heard today, as you heard, that we got approved and we have 5 minutes to present on Friday, which is awesome. And 5 minutes is more than ever in the past, which is part of why I kind of suspected that we were going to get chosen, because I'm pretty sure in the past, they gave 3 minutes each because they had 20 or more presenters that applied. And so they just cut it down to 3 minutes and they had 20 presenters. So with 5 minutes each, either they have less than 20 and more like, 12. When you multiply 5 times 12, you have 12 presenters instead of 20. Or it's possible, because in the past, there have been times that they gave like the actual like pharmaceutical companies and other like entities that were, kind of on a different level. They gave them 5 minutes or more. So it is possible that based on the topic that we chose, that they really want us to dig into this, because what we did choose, and let me go ahead and share that with you guys now. And again, I want to bring it back to the context of the research team so we understand why we're talking about all of this right now, is that we as the research team have to figure out exactly what we can do, each one of us, and what we can do collectively as a team between now and Friday to present the best everything that we can, the best presentation to the FDA, the best website, to the world when they show up on our website, especially with the slide, the one slide that we ended up presenting. Did everybody see that? So if you didn't see it, let me bring it up so everybody can see. Because it wasn't until 2:10 p.m. today that I saw that we had until 3 p.m. to go ahead and put our slides in for the presentation. I don't want to download it. Let me just see if it'll display it. Let me just bring it up this way. I sent them one slide that says, 4 slides for this presentation, go to vaccineconsiderations.com. So I don't know, it's possible, I mean, for sure, all of the FDA advisory committee members, I mean, they're on the internet at the time. So I guess they can just as well go ahead and pull it up live as well. I was imagining it's going to be more of kind of like the audience at home, so to speak. But this is the one slide that we sent in. Katie, again, started to make slides. Thank you, Katie, so much for the idea of that. I just didn't think that we could do very much in those few minutes that we had left. And I didn't really want to send in what would be really a subpar looking thing for who we are and what we're up to. So I think it's better that we sent this, which we did, and hopefully they'll use it, because then what we'll do on vaccineconsiderations.com, right on the homepage, we'll have, at least for that day, very big, like images of the slides, so they can just scroll down the page and see the slides right on our homepage. And that way, our homepage is basically like acting like the slideshow. So it's not even like people have to search for it or anything. And that way we can put together slides between now and Friday, whatever slides we want, right? And so whoever can look, it'll be on our website right as I'm talking, and then I'll say, go to slide 2, slide 3, etc. So that's our solution that we're going to go with. Live or die with it, even if they don't, ride or die, I should say. So even if they don't use that one slide, that's what we're going to tell. That's what I'll say verbally. So even if they, for whatever reason, say that's too self-promotional or whatever, we're not going to put up that slide. I will say, we didn't have time, to really submit the slides we wanted. We've produced them now, and they're all available on vaccineconsiderations.com this very minute. So while you're listening to me, please go browse over there to actually see the visuals of what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's how we're going to handle it. So that gives us, between now and Friday, not a lot of time in and of itself either. And we have to essentially get these slides done by Thursday night at the latest, because the presentation is actually 11 a.m. on Friday, and Friday morning, I'll be practicing my script along with the slides and all of that. So we really need to say that like by 2 a.m. Eastern is the latest that we can, finalize any of the slides, any of you that are night owls on, or Colorado time on Thursday. So it could even, I guess, be later if any of you are working past that. But whatever your bedtime is on Wednesday needs to be the final for the slides. And then I'll get up at, early on Friday and start working with them. So that's, I forgot to confirm before, who is on our minutes tonight. That was actually in my minutes, because we had set it up for Johnny last week. Johnny, did you recall that you had volunteered for that last week?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So you've been taking notes already, or minutes already?
No, I still need it. Okay, I don't know where to get the minutes from. I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's have you manage at some other time. So my mistake for not checking first thing. So let's have somebody else that already is skilled in minutes working on it for tonight. So Katie, what was that document that you just shared with us? Oh, that's the agenda itself that you're giving to Johnny. Okay. Let's see, Renasia or Sabah, are one of you able to do it, since I see that Alexis is driving?
I'll do it. I will do it.
You do it, Sabah. Okay, thank you so much, Sabah. I really appreciate that. So yeah, go ahead and take the minutes, and then let's go ahead and you and I will connect about the minutes briefly before you share them. There's some adjustments to what you shared last week that you and I need to talk about. I just haven't had a chance to connect with you about it yet. So you did a really good job, a really thorough job. Thank you for what you did for the minutes last week. We can go ahead and give Sabah a hand. I think your first minutes for us, right, Sabah? So thank you so much for doing that.
Third one. It was third one. Yeah.
Oh, your third one? Oh, okay. But for this team?
Yeah, one added for the Thursday team meeting. And
Got it.
well, yeah, two I did for Thursday team meeting and
That's right. That's right. I thought though that that was your first time for this meeting. So, okay, great. Thank you for doing it again, Sabah. We really appreciate it. So what I was saying is, please, write that down in terms of what we're going to, our deadline for Wednesday night for our slides. And again, we're gonna spend more of the rest of the meeting kind of brainstorming what we can do and what we can put together. Let me remind you guys quickly of what it is that Katie and I sent in. I know I've talked a lot. Does anybody have any questions or need any clarifications about anything I've shared so far? No, everybody on the same page with where we're at and what we're doing for the presentation? Okay, great. Great, I appreciate that. Okay, so let us continue. Let's go quickly to, again, what Katie and I worked on. And I know it's not just Katie and I, but I want to see, this is the thing, is for the next few days, we need to have more active participation by more members, and we'll get into the different things that we have on our to-do list still. But I just want to kind of be clear with everyone that in terms of working on these things and putting your name on the list, like adding a comment or two is not really the type of level of input we need. We need writing paragraphs and editing things and moving things around and finding quotes and all of those sorts of things. So this is the output. If you guys didn't see it, let me, well, it's in our full team chat from Friday. This is what we sent in on Friday. So you can see it's very well developed. There's a lot of quotes. There's a lot of hyperlinks. And these are the types of things that we're going to include. So like, for example, you can see this quote that I pulled up. I won't read the whole quote, but I'll just read this last line. So again, this is from the Lancet publication. This is the editorial that was co-authored by the two FDA officials, senior officials that are leaving in the coming weeks, that have resigned from the FDA. So they wrote this, this is just one quote. Even if boosting were eventually shown to decrease the medium-term risk of serious disease, current vaccine supplies could save more lives if used in previously unvaccinated populations than if used as boosters in vaccinated populations. So basically, that is essentially the full World Health Organization party line. You guys understand that? Have you guys read enough articles and seen enough of what's going on out there to understand that the World Health Organization has called for a global moratorium on boosters? No boosters anywhere in the whole world, because anytime that anybody is using a booster of one of these vaccines, that booster instead could be used for a first-time recipient somewhere in the world, anywhere in the world, right? And the point that I made in here, one of the points, and then I'll let Katie highlight a point or two if she's interested, but this is the point that I wanted to make. This is Dr. Fauci. I'll just pull up the site so you can see like how like prominent it is. So here's, you know, Dr. Fauci on Good Morning America, right? Doesn't get more like, you know, try to get the word out to the public than this, right? Dr. Fauci getting on one of these morning shows to share what he wants to share. So I'm going to read the quote while it's coming up, since it's taking a moment to come up. Oops, I'm sorry. Okay, so here's what he said. And when you give it an ample, this was on August 5th, okay? So this was before even Pfizer had come out and said boosters were needed. And you might recall a couple of weeks ago, I was showing you quotes about how the CDC and the FDA were saying that no boosters were necessary at this time from the data that they had. Well, anyways, back in August, what Dr. Fauci said was, and when you give it ample opportunity to mutate, you may sooner or later get another variant. And it is possible that that variant might be in some respects worse than the already very difficult variant we're dealing with now, which is a major reason why you want to completely suppress the circulation of the virus in the community, okay? So what I wrote is, when we know that the community that Dr. Fauci is referring to is the global community, since the virus doesn't stay in any localized geographic areas, then isn't Dr. Fauci's statement strongly supporting the position of a booster moratorium by the World Health Organization? So does everybody see kind of the logic that I'm drawing there? And that, again, by the own kind of party line of the US government from a couple months ago, you know, which again, the FDA officials that are resigning don't think we've moved past, you know, and there's many experts around the country that don't think we've moved past this moment that we should be giving boosters. And as you know, the FDA did not authorize boosters for the entire population, right? But the CDC, and this is something that we'll bring up, the CDC director, Dr. Walensky, overrode the recommendations of the similar committee for the CDC, okay? And, you know, on top of all of this, the whole process is not giving an opportunity for like the experts in the community to really like dive into the data. The data just got released today, right? We were given 5 hours notice for the deadline for our slides, right? Now we as an organization, we are way too busy and we are have way too much stuff to do than to spend several hours creating slides that we may not have a presentation to give because we didn't know if we had a presentation, right? So it was very reasonable for us as an organization not to have produced slides on speculation that we were going to be one of the presenters, right? That would be very reasonable for any organization, for anybody in the position that was applying. So then for whoever got notified that they could in fact present, to be given not even 24 hours, not even an evening to put slides together, but only 5 hours notice, for that not to be told in advance at any point, where does that show the desire for due diligence? Where does that show the desire for an engaged community discourse, right? Like, how can, on the one hand, the FDA and the CDC over and over again say, trust us in the process. We're doing a vigorous process. We're doing everything that can be done to know that this is safe. Well, any scientist would want to have peer review, right? Peer review standard, and it's peer review in name, if anything, not even really giving an opportunity for peer review, right? Because again, any peers, any experts out there that would want to now comment on the data now that they're seeing the data today, sorry, the deadline for actually being an oral presenter was last Friday. So you're out of luck. You do not get to present in front of the FDA, whatever concerns you may have, right? So again, this whole timeline, this whole system, it would appear to anybody that has any level of just like looking at it at face value that it's a very, very disingenuous process. And it's a very in your face disingenuous process at the same time that they're espousing for trust and faith. And this is exactly what an organization would do that would not be seeking trust and faith, that would be just trying to rush things through and ramrod them without any voices being able to be heard, right? So we are asking for the FDA and all processes and all government officials and all of that at every level to set the process up in a way that at the very least makes it look like the government cares. Now, we can't guarantee that behind the scenes they're actually going to do anything with all this feedback, but that can they please provide the decency to let it look like the scientists and the experts out there have an opportunity to give any feedback before any national decisions are being made? So that's the essence, of what I intend to present. And I don't know how diplomatic I'm going to be about it at this point, frankly, because I think at this point, they've had enough times to get it right. And just as some of you saw, I presented almost this exact same thing as a written argument back in February, so that I wasn't calling them to task publicly, so that it would be on video. I gave them the courtesy of sharing it all privately in the written comments that hardly anybody sees. But it seems like that they've not, considered what I've had to share, or at the very least, maybe they could publicize something about why it's so important to follow these timelines that they keep putting out repeatedly, that it has to be done this way and there's no way to provide any timeline that allows for any real feedback in the world. Maybe they could at least give us some explanation or justification if they, if they want to, again, appear that they are doing their best to make this be a vigorous and inclusive process. So I've shared enough. Katie, do you want to say anything about any of the parts that you added and the specific things, or get into any of the specific quotes or anything like that?
I guess a lot of what I put down was about the WHO having concerns about, wealthy countries giving their citizens boosters rather than vaccinating low-income countries. And I said, that even applies to America because, low-income areas might not be getting the vaccinations they need rather than wealthier people having access to a booster. Then I also pointed out that we also need to put our focus towards unvaccinated Americans just in general, because there's some data that shows that booster rates are higher than just vaccination rates. So it just basically the whole point is we need to put our focus where our focus needs to be rather than boosters. Yeah.
It's really, really great that you're saying that, Katie. It's making me think, and I'm sorry we didn't think of this on Friday, but are you interested in presenting those parts of our presentation if they would allow you to take 2 minutes of our presentation to share those things?
If they allow it, sure.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry we didn't think about it before now, but the ways that you're talking about it, I think it would be more effective for you to speak to those issues and for you to write your own script for those issues. Because I think, I can see where I would have you writing that script for me to speak, but I think I'd rather have you writing that script for you to speak if you're able to. So let's we'll email them, and it seems like it could fit within what we're doing, you know, and what we've shared. So hopefully they can make that adjustment. Anything else that you wanted to share about that, Katie? Or about what you included? Okay, great. So I think those are all really good and important points that, like you're saying, Katie, are, you know, ought to be brought up, and we can bring them up. You know, part of what I'm thinking, and we have to look back on this, and maybe now that I'm thinking about this, can be one of the tasks for the for this team. So let's have one, or let's have two of you, just so we can see. I'm trying to think of how to do this. What I want to do is I want to, you know, for the Pfizer consideration that they had 3 weeks ago, you know, there was an hour of outside presentations then that, remember, we talked about, you know, applying, and then we decided not to at the end. I want to have one of you or two of you review those presentations of those outside experts for that hour, because I'm very curious to know whether anyone was addressing what we just talked about in, you know, the previous meeting. You know, ideally, we'd actually know from the whole meeting, and maybe what we do is maybe we do a search of the transcript to find some keywords to kind of tune in. But at least for that hour, you know, for the 20 or however many presenters that they had, let's review it, and let's find out who, if somebody spoke about this, and in particular, if somebody shared like quotes from the Lancet and that sort of thing. The thing about the Lancet and the FDA, you know, officials resigning, I kind of feel like, to a certain degree, that we are their proxy voice in the meeting. I shared about that a little bit at our team meeting, didn't I? Forget if I used that concept with you guys. I think, you know, that basically, especially if nobody else does it, you know, where is it going to enter into the public record around this meeting that, you know, they shared that information and these quotes, right? Those quotes are in the Lancet and they're out there in the public domain, but they haven't been entered into the record for the consideration around these vaccines. And that was where, you know, I felt like, in a way, you know, that the officials, since they haven't resigned yet, and they're still not in a position yet to speak out independently, that they essentially need us or somebody to be sharing their quotes and sharing what they have to say about this within the meeting, right? That's the only way that it officially gets communicated within the meeting. You guys have any thoughts about that?
I can go ahead and review it. I think it'll help with script writing anyway.
I appreciate that, Katie. Thank you for doing that. You know how to track that down, where to find the video and how to find the section where they have the presentations and all of that? Yeah, okay, great. That's awesome. Okay, cool. And I think if anybody else wants to work with Katie on that, let her know. I appreciate you working on that, Katie. That's great. I think maybe even, this is a thing, I think since you're gonna take the time to go through it, Katie, I kind of want to, like, you know, it's almost like when we're reviewing articles, to know, you know, what there is to go back to in the articles, and especially like if there's certain presenters that we would want to connect with, that they're experts that we want to reach out to, or they're potential strategic partners, or, you know, whatever, like anyone that, would be of interest for us connecting with them at any point, even if not at this moment, maybe it'll be some months down the line, for us to kind of flag that now. And so, like, if there's some presenter that for whatever reason you think that there's just nothing there for us, that's fine. You can just kind of note that. But I think maybe if you can just kind of make a list of all the presenters and then just like a couple notes about each one, like this one is really good, we should connect, or just whatever there is for us to know about the content in their presentation, just real quick overview of the content and what we should know about our interest in following up with them. Okay, great. Okay, so we're quickly running through our meeting, and I really want to make progress this week on figuring out like how we can all be spending our time. We have a lot of time. Let's bring up our time really quickly to see what we've got set aside. Let me share my screen again to see what time we've got allocated for our research team for this week. So Alexis, 6 hours, James, 0, Johnny, 15. That's great, Johnny. Thank you so much. Katie, 4, Renasia, 10, Sabah, 6. So that's up. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at last week. That's so funny. I was showing last week to somebody else. Okay, let me do that again. Alexis, 6. Okay, same so far. Johnny, 10, still good. So actually, Johnny, you put 5 for your expected and 10 for your max, and we put our expected in here. So are you still at 5 for your expected, and we should change research to 5, or we should change your expected to 10?
I think expected should be 10. I just have midterms to deal with.
Okay, so expected will be 10. So we'll expect 10 hours this week from you.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Johnny. That's great. Okay, and Katie, 4, and Renasia, you put in 20, but you didn't break it down yet. So should we just say 10 and 10 for the moment?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, and we'll see as we go whether we need to adjust that or not. And then 8 for Sabah, that's really great. So 38 hours available to us for the week, which is a good amount of hours. And we really want to make sure that we're taking advantage of all of those hours this week and really figuring out, how to make the most out of them in terms of what we're presenting to the world around the presentation. Let's go back really quickly and let's just see in terms of the agenda, what we have in terms of, I just want to look back at last week's and see what we had, where we left off, because I want us to have awareness in our mind of all that's still there for us, all that we were working on last week, all that, any priorities we ought to be working on. I just want to, the presentation is just going to kind of take precedence over most of it this week. Okay. So, I should just mention in terms of the 1-week trial leadership. Yeah, and you guys were, from last week, we were expecting that James was going to start leading us this week. I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier. I didn't think about the connection. So James let me know and let the business team know this morning that for personal reasons, he is going to have to step away from the project for at least some period of time to manage the things that he has to manage. So that's really unfortunate, of course, for us to hear, especially as we were looking forward to him leading the research team this coming week. So, again, certainly not the same situation or in the ballpark with Hannah and what she's dealing with, but let's give our, thoughts and our prayers and our best wishes for James and all that he is managing in his life so that, he can, it'll all work out perfectly, but my attachment, as I'm sure at least some of you, is that James will be able to sort all of it out and come back and join us and be a part of the team as quickly as possible. So we'll put that wish and energy and prayer out into the universe and collectively see how quickly we can manifest that together. So having said that, just very quickly, Katie is still going to take a crack for a week next week, starting a week from today. So Katie and I will connect in advance of that. Katie, we should have a one-on-one meeting probably Monday, early Monday, if you're available, to talk about, what we'll set up for the meeting the following Tuesday in terms of the agenda and priorities and all of that. And then also you can join us at the executive team meeting next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern if you're available for that as well. So, okay, great. So any questions or comments about the situation with the leaders? And is there anybody, well, let me just say, if there's anybody else that would like to be a leader of the research team for a week at least, then send me a message, and even potentially this week, if you're interested. Send me a private message so you and I can connect about it, any of you. So thank you for that. Any questions or comments before we move on? Nope. Okay, so continuing. Okay, so this past week, we've been adding the experts, extracting the experts from the articles. That's been really important because now we've got a whole bunch of boosters experts in our database that we can potentially reach out to. Now we have to see whether we can actually reach out to them, whether we have time to do that between now and Friday and resources to do that between now and Friday. That I know will be more on the outreach team, but we're going to talk as quickly as we can here soon about what we can do as a team. The rating system we're still working on, but we're putting on the back burner for this week. And the sample research for the climate as well is just going to have to be a little back burner for the moment to really focus on this through Friday. After Friday, you guys will still have the weekend for those of you that work on the weekend, as well as Monday and Tuesday to work on other things for research teams, so we can kind of have a second half of the week of the research team. We'll use maybe 20 or 30 hours between now and Friday on preparing for the presentation, and then we'll still have maybe 10 hours that we can use after Friday for the research team as well for the other things we're working on. Let me just take a breath and let you guys just give me your thoughts, each one of you. I want to hear from each one of you about what you think we can do now that you've heard what Katie and I intend to present to the FDA. What do you each feel like we can do as a research team, or any one of you can do to help, help with research about what we're presenting, help with sharing more information on the website about what we're presenting, put things together on the website, find specific experts, find specific articles, find specific anything about, supporting what we're doing. So let me start with that. And then I'm also going to, in a moment, ask Katie to, frame it in the way that she can think about framing it in terms of any support she thinks that any of you or the team can be helpful in providing. But let me throw it out there to everybody and say, what do you think the research team can support with, and what do you think each one of you can support with? So I'm going to have all 5 of you answer that shortly. So whoever would like to start, go ahead and start, because you'll all be talking soon.
Hi.
Thank you, Alexis. I appreciate you
No
being
problem.
brave.
Yeah, I'm trying. So I think maybe you said, so the question was like, what can we do to get it out there that we're going to be presenting? Like,
Not get it out there. I mean, well, not to say that.
but
That
like more
is
so like promoting it like on our Instagram, or not Instagram, but social media, like our website, things like that.
no, that's not. Well, those things may happen. Let me go back to this sheet. So those things are in here in terms of tasks that need to be done if we want to, seek media attention. Then social media was on here somewhere. So, or we need to add it. I know I put social media somewhere in here with something. So here's social media posting. Okay, so so what you're saying is accurate to a certain degree, but to a certain degree, some of the things you're mentioning are outside of the scope of the research team. So first, I'm looking for what the research team can do on the research side. But more than that, I think you're right in us going to this document and just having, you guys fill it in more with what you're each willing to do. Oh, Katie's willing to be a leader. That is awesome, Katie. Thank you so much for stepping up for that. That is great. You've already been being a leader, so it's awesome that you're willing to do that. Thank you. Let's all stop to give Katie some applause for that. That's pretty awesome. Very necessary. Yes, thank you, Katie. Awesome. Yes. Okay, great. So composing the application, that's done already. So let's go ahead and cross that off. It's not getting the A. Not, all right. Somebody else has got this down better than me. Here it is. Okay, we'll get the A afterwards. So that's done. Creating the slides. Okay, great. Sabai, you added yourself to that. Alexis, you added yourself. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. So Katie, Alexis, Katie and Alexis are taking the lead. Sabai is supporting. So this is where, again, Johnny and Renasia, you guys can potentially help with this. So I think at this point we are like not even talking like research team at the moment. Let's focus on these specific tasks and see where people can support with these tasks, because I think it is going to be more along this line. So let me break this down really quickly. We might run a little bit into the production team meeting. I apologize if we do. So let me break this down into the 3 segments of what we need done. One, it's preparing and presenting. So we're creating the slides, then we're composing the presentation, which is essentially this script, right? And basically it appears, and also just to let you know, for those of you that don't know, that James also did get accepted. So James will be presenting it to the FDA on Thursday. So we are presenting to the FDA both on Thursday and Friday. So that means that we can throw whatever we want in for Moderna on Thursday in the James presentation, and Johnson & Johnson for my presentation on Friday. So I was just going to say James has his under control, but I think this gives us the opportunity as a team to figure out other things that might need to get added to James' presentation as well. I don't know whether his is 3 minutes or 5 minutes. We'll have to check with him on that. So, okay, so we've got Katie, Alexis, and Sabah. I think Johnny and Renasia, if you guys are interested in helping with the slides, that can be helpful since that's our, one of our high priorities. Composing the presentation, that's actually working on the script. So I think, again, that is an important aspect. I see, Johnny, that you added yourself for that, which is great. Delivering the presentation is we've already kind of got that narrowed down now. So that's going to be me and James and perhaps Katie, if they will allow us. So there's nothing to be settled there except for what the FDA will allow us. And let's say, so right now it's creating the slides, composing the presentation. Those are the two elements needed around the presentation itself. Then there's this whole other aspect of seeking media attention, which is getting into kind of what you were just asking about, Alexis, which is this is where we can choose to create a press release. We can choose to send it out to the media. We can choose to contact the media. We can choose to manage the media communications. So as you can see, nobody has signed up for any of this yet. So if you guys, are fine with just passing on the whole media aspect of this, I think, a lot of you got excited last week when I shared, the video of the media attention we got. And that was just some of the media attention we got. We got several other media stories as well. Great, I see, Renasia, that you're gonna help with the slides. That's awesome. Thank you for that. So I just wanna say, it's not necessary for us to do media stuff, but it is a big benefit of doing this to get some media attention. So for any of you that are interested and willing to do any of this, it definitely, is there to be done. I'm also going to really heavily be asking the outreach team and the production team to get into this as well, especially the outreach team. So, we'll talk about that and we'll see, but any of you that are willing to help with that, that's really, that's key for media attention. I can just leave it that way. Now, last is the experts. So figuring out ways to include experts, like coming up with questions for interviews and coming up with polls and panel discussions and all of that. So I see that Katie is up for supporting with that, but no one's taking the lead on that yet. No one's taking the lead on engaging with experts. I see that there are more down here. Compose the invitation to experts. We have Maria, and then Johnny volunteered to help with creating an email invitation and creating a video invitation. That's great. Thank you, Johnny. And then Sabah is willing to take the lead to reach out to and follow up with experts. Thank you so much, Sabah, for that. That's really great. And then Katie and Maria are willing to take the lead to produce content with experts, which is awesome. So we've got some support down here at the bottom part of that. I would say at the moment, we need to kind of figure out what it is that how we want to engage the experts, because we can't really write them an email saying, hey, we want to have you do this without knowing what this is. And the first thing that I'm thinking about is something along the lines of, hey, do you have anything to say to the FDA around this booster thing, right? And then what would you say to the FDA? Well, you can say it now because we have a presentation on Friday, in front of the FDA, where we're going to be directing people to the website. And when they find the website, you can be there with whatever quotes, whatever sources, whatever you want to, share. So that's something that we can potentially offer to them. So what we need to figure out is what is it that we can tell the experts that we can offer to them to have them be interested and to have them be a part of what we're doing. So how do you guys see that we can integrate the experts into what we're doing? Even potentially, provide polling numbers. Again, if we could do all this quick enough, this is the challenge, and this is why we need to have a lot of people engaged really quickly. But the whole team has 30 hours, so we have a bunch of time to offer between now and Friday, which is, can we, excuse me, can we offer to the experts well, I think I've talked enough. I want to hear what you guys have to say, and then we'll kind of sort it out. So what do you guys think in terms of, hey, experts, we're doing this. We'd like for you to be engaged. Please come and join us. What can we offer to them? Johnny?
I think what we can do is we can tell the experts, we could give them an inside look on our presentation and all the information that we gathered, and ask them their own personal insight of, hey, do you think this is really professional? Like, do you think this is the main focus that we should be focusing on? And if they have any input to, their own criticism to add, so they can help us with their own insight. And so we have more, what is that word? More validation for our presentation as well.
Okay, that's really interesting. So you're saying that to actually share our presentation with them while it's still in draft form for them to review it and see if they would like to add anything?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea, because then even their suggestions, even if their suggestions don't make it into our final presentation, we can still have display their suggestions on our website, right? We can only do 5 minutes of speaking on Friday, but we can have 10 or 20 minutes of recommendations, on our website, right? So we can kind of share what everyone recommends, what everyone has to say. What do you guys think about that? I think the question then would be, how do we execute that? Because I see it. Hi, Maria, how are you? Thank you for being good. Thank you for being here at 7. Unfortunately, we're running over a little bit into our production meeting. Please, stick around if you'd like, because it's actually going to be what we're going to be talking about in the production meeting too. I apologize to everyone who's still here that's on the research team and not in the production team meeting. Is there anybody on the research team that has to leave right now, or can you guys stick around for a couple more minutes to sort this out? You're okay, Sabah? How about you, Johnny? You're okay. Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Okay, so yeah, so I think that it's a very good idea to get their feedback and see. So then what's going to be the mechanism? I could imagine doing what we do, kind of sharing a Google Doc with them and letting them kind of, mark it up and give suggestions and that sort of thing. But the thing about that is, well, I guess we can create some guidelines and share it. We can ask which experts are interested. When they say they're interested, we can get their account and give them explicit permission, and just make sure that they're not, that they're using suggesting mode and they're not using editing mode to just kind of change everything to the way that they want it, but they're using suggesting mode so that we can see the edits and suggestions and comments that they're making. So, and then I think we'll just have to have a backup version, so that if anybody does kind of trample it, that we can revert and get back to a better version. Does that sound like a good plan to you guys? Any other thoughts about any other ways that we can engage the experts and have their input supporting us. Then I guess, again, the question is like, what can you guys support with? So let's just quickly go into the hours again that you shared, and let's just kind of match up the hours with these tasks. What we'll do now is we'll go through these tasks and we'll figure out like how many hours we're anticipating for each one of these things, like how many hours we're anticipating for Katie and Sabah and Johnny to be involved in composing the presentation, so that we can pull those hours out of what you guys have allocated for your team hours for the week, so that we can kind of match up our hours with our specific needs. Does that sound like a good plan to you guys? Does that sound like the best way for us to kind of figure out how to use our hours? Again, it seems like right now we can't like pigeonhole it into like research team hours. We just have to kind of say, hey, Renasia has 20 hours available this week. Johnny has, how many did you say, Johnny? 10 hours available this week. So where do we put Johnny's 10 hours? Where do we put Renasia's 10 hours? That sort of thing. So does that sound good if we just do that like person by person and figure out like where we're going to put our hours for the week? Does that sound like a good plan? Okay, good. So let's start with the people who are on the research team and not in the production team. And then with the people on the production team, we'll let the others drop off and then we'll continue. So let's start with Johnny and Sabah. So let's start with Sabah, because I think Sabah has more family needs that she's juggling. So let's go through Sabah. We have you being co-leader of the whole presentation. That's amazing. Let me again check your hours. So you've got 10 hours for the week, Sabah, which is great. So let's go. And Katie, you have 6 hours available for the week. I'm going to refresh this because it's a little off on the cursor and I'd love to see it better. I fixed it. Okay, Sabah 10. And Johnny, I just looked, you were 10, right? Yes. Okay, now there's others of you that are already signed up down below, so you are supporting with the overall presentation. Let's, I'll fill those in as we go, but let's go down to Sabah. We're gonna have her drop off first. So 10 hours overall. You've got your co-leading creating the slides and your co-leading composing the presentation. And then you're co-leading, reaching out and following up with experts. Okay, so out of your 10 hours, let's make those like, let's divide those up properly. So let's say it would be kind of like, think about it real quick. Oh, and then you're supporting here as well, creating the slides. Oh, wait a second. Did it just change? Sabah, I had you co-creating, you're co-leading, creating the slides and composing the presentation a minute ago, right? Am I right? That's what I said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, so Sabah, you're just going to co-lead composing the presentation. You're just going to help with creating the slides. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's composing the presentation. let's have you here, Sabah, put in. Now, Johnny, did you add yourself with the 10? Each one of these is not going to be 10. They need to add up to 10. These are going to be the portions of 10. So it's going to be more like 2 and 3 and that sort of thing. Get what I'm doing there, Johnny? So if you want to add, so everyone actually can do this. Let's make it quicker. Let's everybody take your total number of hours that you have committed for the week. Let's actually, at the moment, let's use all of our hours on the presentation. And if we don't get all of our hours in, that's fine. But let's plan to use all of our expected hours for the presentation. So I want you to take what your hours are, your total here and the expected hours. I want you to add yourself here to the supporting team members. So this is where, Johnny, you will put 10 here because this is your total. So we do need to see the total of your, how many hours for your whole week. So Renasia, Maria, Alexis, please add yourself here with your total next to it. And then what I want you to do is go down through here and then add, kind of put what you think is going to be the portion of your total that you're going to devote to that particular task. Okay, so is everybody understanding what I'm saying? So as an example, Johnny's going to have 10 hours total for the team, and to help compose the presentation, he's going to provide 3 of his 10 hours to that. And he's going to provide 3 of his 10 hours to helping create the slides. Does everybody understand that? Any questions about that?
I'm sorry, I should have raised my
Yeah,
hand. I have a question. So basically you're saying, so if I have 12 hours, add 12 hours to the co-leader of the slides.
So you have 12 hours total, Alexis, and then you're saying you're going to be co-leader for creating the slides. Is there anything else that you've added your name to? No. So what we need you to do is actually, let's figure out how many hours to have you devote to co-leading it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to add your name up here, and you're going to put the whole 12 hours. Okay, so we can see it up there. So I just did it for you. So now that we've got you there for the whole 12 hours, now we have to figure out, of those 12 hours, how many are you going to devote as co-leader of creating the slides? And I would say, let's say of the 12, let's make that let's make that 3. We're going to make that 3 because we have all of these other people that are helping. So I think, so I see, Renasia, you want to split it up between just the slides and the presentation, but I think what's more important, and this is what I'm trying to figure out with you, Alexis, as well, is to have you guys putting some of your hours into engaging the experts, coming up with questions. Let's see.
I can come up with questions for the experts.
Yeah, producing content with the experts, conducting interviews, conducting panels. So you don't have to, I see where some of this stuff is all getting a little bit specialized with the outreach team reaching out, composing invitation, figuring out ways to include experts. So you're saying you could help with this, Alexis, figuring out ways to include experts?
Yes, that's
Okay.
fine.
So right now we have Katie, we have you. So let's say, Alexis, that you're going to put 2 hours into this. Katie, you'll have to figure out how many hours you're going to put into that with what you have left. And then, so we have 2 hours there. We have 3 hours with creating the slides. That leaves you, Alexis, with 7 hours. So Renasia, Maria, Sabah, you guys continue to do this. Johnny, you guys continue to do this as I'm doing this example with Alexis in front of you. Do it right now live on your own. So within the next few minutes, we'll be done with all of this. Katie as well. So, so let's just finish up with Alexis. So we've got 5 hours allocated. We've got 7 hours left. So what else would you like to work on, Alexis, besides creating the slides? You can either do something around the media attention, which would be very helpful if we want to go in that direction, or something around, let's see, the experts. It's really not, though. I think what we'll do, Alexis, is let's save the rest of it for our discussion about production, because I think we're going to start to get into more of like the video production with the experts and that sort of thing, and other video production that we might want to do this week. So
Okay,
let's
that's
leave it
fine.
at that for now. Same
Okay.
thing for Maria and Renasia and Katie. So let's just, I don't know how we switched to Alexis. I was on Sabah there to begin with, right? Because we were getting Sabah off of here. Sabah, you have 10 hours total. So you've got 4 hours here for co-creating the slides. Let me think about whether we need all 4 hours there. I think not, because we've got enough people here, especially with Renasia having 10. And Renasia, we'll probably have to cut that down a bit. But let's, for the moment, let's leave Sabah. Let's have you have 2 hours here. And composing the presentation, we can leave 4 hours there. And that leaves another 4 hours for you. And then you have 2 hours here. So that leaves 2 hours left for you, Sabah. And I'm trying to think. So I guess we should leave that for the recruitment team, right? So you've got a couple hours. Me okay?
Oh, I can't hear you, Jared.
You can't hear me? Can
Oh,
you hear me?
yeah, now I can.
You can hear me now? Okay.
2 hours
Okay.
are left.
Yeah, you heard what I said about 2 hours for the recruitment team?
Yeah.
Okay. I hope you got what I was saying otherwise, or else that you'll review the video, because it was important. What I was doing was breaking down, the hours that you have now. Let's just do it again real quick to make sure we're all on the same page. So you have 10 hours available for the whole presentation. That's okay. So at the moment we have 2 hours going to creating the slides, 4 hours to composing the presentation, and 2 hours to reaching out and following up with experts. So that's a total of 8 hours so far. So I think that that's probably okay, so that we can leave 2 hours for you for the recruitment team this week, since the recruitment team does need to make some progress this week. I'm just looking. I am getting it right. You are on the recruitment team, right, Sabah? I'm not seeing it.
No.
Huh?
I'm on research and outreach.
Oh, really? Why am I confused about that? You're only on research and outreach. Okay, got it. So we don't need to save it for the recruitment team. All right. we'll talk about it within outreach. It's basically you're going to be helping with the outreach to the experts is what it comes down to. So we need to actually go down here. So reach out and follow up with experts. We already have you down for 2 hours. Let's put you down for 4 hours for that. Okay,
Okay.
sound good? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So thank you so much, Sabai. You can now leave the meeting. Thank you for your help with that. We really appreciate it. You're welcome to stay if you want. It's just going to be a little bit more of this until we get all of these hours squared away, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about other production things if we have time still. So, but you're welcome to leave, Sabah. Thank you very much. We appreciate all the ways that you're supporting. That's great. So to jump back again, let's now do this with Johnny. So Johnny can leave the meeting and while the rest of us are still in the production team meeting here. So let me share again. And Johnny, do you have this on your computer? Do you want to share and do you want to walk us through your total hours and how you're looking at dividing them up at the moment?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, great.
Currently, I have 3 hours in.
I'm going to have you share it from your computer so we can follow you and
Okay,
show us
understood.
what. Great, thanks. Thanks for doing that.
Let's see. Where is it? This one? Okay. Currently, I'm doing 3 hours for creating a slide. Then,
I'm sorry, Johnny. Let's start with your total available
oh,
for the week.
I'm sorry about that as well.
Yeah.
Right now I have 10 hours for this week, and I am going to contribute 3 hours to creating the slide. So that's 7 hours left. Then for composing a presentation, I'm going to use another 3 hours for composing a presentation. So another 3 hours gone. So far is left. Then scrolling downwards, I will be contributing with coming up with questions for the experts, 2 hours for that. And I have 2 hours left over. And I would say create an email invitation. I don't think this would take an hour, but I wanted to make it like an hour for both, maybe. And I would have an hour left. And I don't know what to put.
Okay, great. I really appreciate that. That's really great. The coming up with the poll questions is really, that could be really significant. So I think let's, and I'm trying to figure out like how we actually execute that, but I'm glad that you chose that. And I want to have other people that have more hours. So Renasia, if you would work on that with Johnny, I think that would be really helpful. Maybe put in 2 hours along with Johnny, if you can pull that from the balance of your hours somewhere. And then I think, well, actually, Johnny, that's what you did. To come up with questions was under polls.
Oh,
So
okay.
you didn't
Understood.
do that. Yeah. So you're coming up with the questions for the polls. You could have
Right.
selected coming up with the questions for the interviews just below that, or coming up with the questions for the panel discussions. So if you weren't clear about that, let's get clear now. So did you want to come up with questions for those other things too, or was it for the polls specifically that you were interested in?
I was going to come up with the questions for the experts. For the
Thanks a lot.
polls, particularly, are we using an engine like Kahoot, or are we going to use something else, or it's just an idea at this point?
That's the thing, is that in the future we want to have it all programmed into our own system. It's going to be a part of our website functionality. We're not there yet. So the question is, can we make it simple enough that I can program something between now and Friday? That's a little challenging at the moment. I think, in the very short term, we would have to probably use like a third-party app or something like that if we want to, invite a bunch of different experts to participate. And we'd have to use some kind of system that, we'd be giving them permission to use the poll or something along those lines, or maybe just sending them a link would be enough. But yeah, all of that is open for discussion and open for figuring out at this point. So I think if you could potentially even, under polls, put not only come up with questions, but you could also have figure out how we're going to do it.
Okay, I
And
think
you
that's
could-
possible.
And you could put an hour next to that as well. Yeah, you can add it right in there if you want, right on that level with come up with questions. You can add it, you know, on that same level.
Okay.
The okay, I see you just said. You know what? Can I start sharing for a second just so I can execute what I was just thinking? Okay, great. So that's great that you want to do that, Johnny. So let me go down. So what I was saying is here where it's coming up with questions. So let's leave that with the two and let's put in, figure out how to poll and display results. So would you like to help with this part too, Johnny? For an hour or something like that? Figure out the polling system we're going to use?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, so I think that's helpful. I think, let's see, it's going to be in terms of people that are on the two teams, we have Alexis and Renasia left. Oh, and Katie too. Katie, I want to see how your hours are because I know you've got leadership hours. All right, let's do it this way. So let's leave it where we have it with you for the moment, Johnny. I think, Johnny, we may do a little bit of adjusting, but I think that at the moment we've got it pretty good for how you're going to be involved with that. Let me just ask you again, just to be totally clear, because if it wasn't clear when you're talking about coming up with the questions, if you were thinking you were coming up with interview questions and that sort of thing, I want to make sure you want to put the time into the polls, or if you want to put any of that time into the coming up with the interview questions or the panel discussions, or if there was some other questions you were thinking about other than polls.
I can do the I can come up with the interview questions. Well, the questions for the well, hold on. So I'm coming up with questions for the poll or the interview, because that's where I'm getting a little bit confused at this moment. Is it the polls or interview? I'm sorry, because I saw it was only polls.
That's what I'm asking you. Yeah. So if you did intentionally put it under polls because you want to come up with the poll questions, then you're good.
Okay.
I just wasn't sure if you knew that you were specifying it for polls and not for interviews.
Yes, it was for polls, but I think I have one more hour left. I could possibly put it to the interview questions. I could probably help with the questions a little bit.
Okay, that's great. Great, thank you for that as well, Johnny. Perfect. So I think then, yeah, I think that gives us a good breakdown for you, Johnny, and we can go forward with that. So if you want to end the meeting now, you're welcome to leave. If you want to stay, you're welcome to stay. It's really up to you. But thank you so much for contributing all your hours to this. It's really great, and we're excited to have you, doing all those different things you signed up for. Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night.
Awesome. See you, Johnny. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Okay, great. So now we're down to just production team. So actually, let's stop the recording. Mark that as the end of our research team meeting.